Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Day 2 of the North American LCS Summer Promotion Tournament. I'm David Frick-Tierley to help me cast the first Best of 5 series today. One of the best casts of all time, Joshua Jat Leisman.
Damn, that's a big compliment all time. Also, this is the day of happiness for these teams. No one is officially eliminated yet. Only 2 teams qualifying for the LCS, so that's good news. Happy day.
It is good news for the teams that win today. So let's talk about the teams that are going in to be hoping to win today. As we dive into the game, let's take a look at the bracket first off. With their win yesterday, Team Renegades is now only 1 series away from rejoining the North American LCS, as Jat mentioned. Of course, their opponents, Renegades, are in the exact same position. They're playing each other. They are facing off in our first match of the day. The second match will be Team Impulse facing off against Apex, also in a best of 5. Again, as Jat said, the winners of today's matches move into the North American LCS for summer 2016, while the losers are moving on to the final day of promotions. They get one more chance at that last spot in the summer split.
Yeah, it's a packed tournament. A lot of best of 5s the teams have to play, especially the ones that had to play yesterday. So TDK needing to quickly recalibrate for this game against Renegades.
Right. Yeah, I mean, TDK might have the same route Giants did, where win, lose, win, and they play like 15 games almost back to back to back. But that's the case if that's how your wins and losses go. Now, we're going to get the day underway with Series 1, Renegades versus Team Dragon Knights. Talking about TDK first off, they're coming off a clean 3-0 sweep last night against Team Dignitas. RIP Dig are gone for the first time in the LCS. TDK maybe replace them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see today. And Alex will be looking forward to this match against what is his old team. And he said in his interview yesterday that he actually wants to, quote, dumpster Ninja. And yesterday, OQ's Caitlyn was a force to be reckoned with in the first 2 games. He went 8-0-12. And then they forced bans on Caitlyn and Janet in Game 3 because that was their bottom lane for the first 2 games. Kez also stepped up huge, only giving up 3 deaths in that 3-game series.
Yeah, I got to say, AD Carry and Jungle were 2 of the big standout performances from TDK in yesterday's games. And, of course, with that win, TDK are only 1 best of 5 victory away from rejoining the LCS, but they've got very tough competition now. They're up against Renegades, who are probably the best team in the promo tournament.
Yeah, the team that's playing in the promo tournament for Renegades isn't really the same lineup that had all the losses during the regular season that made them kind of qualify for the promotion tournament, so to speak. Yeah, since joining the roster in Week 7, the solo laners of Seraph and Ninja have invigorated this Renegade squad. They helped the team leapfrog from 10th to 8th in Week 10, and they've earned victories in 5 of their last 7 games.
And that is an impressive sort of set of wins. 5-2 is actually a pretty solid record, so we'll see if that positive trend continues. Now, the thing is, these 2 teams are actually very familiar opponents, and Freeze shares what that means for the series.
We know so much about TDK since we scrimmed them like every day, almost at least once, a scrim block. So we know all the weaknesses and all the strengths they have, but the same works for them, right? They know our weaknesses and knows our strengths. So if we would be matched against each other, it would come down to who will abuses better the strengths and weaknesses.
And I think actually a heavy level of familiarity actually favors the better team, because to me, if you're the weaker team, you need to surprise, to upset, right, and get the win when you're sort of not supposed to. The more you each know about each other, the less surprises you have.
It's going to be interesting, but sometimes you see these kind of weird interloping things that happen when teams scrim against each other so often that happened here, and also the fact that they have had that trade late in the season, so there will be Alex, who played with the Renegades rush for most of the season. Who is the better team is also a question. It looks like Renegades coming into this, but we'll see.
It does look like Renegades, but we will see, as Jat said. Let's check out the starting lineups. On the blue side for Game 1 and so on is going to be Renegades. Seraph in the top lane, Crumbs in the jungle, Ninja in mid, Freeze on AD carry, Hakuho on support with Coach Hermes strolling back and forth behind them.
Absolutely, and on the red side here for Game 1, it's going to be Team Dragon Knights. We got Flares in the top lane. The jungler who used to have to transit all the time is Kez, a little bit less now. Mid laner, Alex Each, the AD carry, much hyped, OQ, and their support Trance, who has shown great improvement for OQ since he joined the team with Coach Sean.
And so as we get ourselves into this game, the question is, how much tougher will the competition be for TDK? In their series yesterday against Dignitas, they won the games fairly convincingly. They got behind a couple times. Shifter had some pretty big leads. His LeBlanc game in Game 3 was a pretty good start, but TDK always brought it back in team fights. They were always the better macro team, and they would just always catch back up regardless of these early deficits. And now they're up against Renegades, who are known for early leads.
Yeah, that's actually something that was huge for Renegades. We need to mention that even towards the end of the season, even before they started picking up wins, Renegades had gold leads at 15 and 20 minutes very frequently. In over half of their LCS games, they were ahead early game. It was just about closing out the victories. But then it seems like the decisiveness of Seraph in the late game has really changed Renegades, and it actually allowed them to close out some of those wins. But then, like you say, you look at the TDK team, OQ always on a very defensive AD carry, whether it be Caitlyn or Ezreal in the games yesterday.
Sure.
And they had just very strong team fighting overall.
And you're seeing the teams now adapting to the fact that these games were spotted from before. No Lulu allowed for Ninja or Seraph. No Graves allowed for Seraph because we watch a lot of LCS games. We know all about how much he wants that champion. But the Azir and Poppy gone away from Alex Zichenko and want to see what else goes off the table. Is Freeze afraid of OQ's Caitlyn?
Yeah, I am a little interested, actually, that we see the Azir ban. It kind of shows to me that maybe Ninja doesn't know both sides of that matchup. What Alex does is he'll play Azir or Vel'Koz, so they're very free giving it up, and they don't even need to pick Azir until very late in the draft, knowing that Alex will play Vel'Koz on top of Azir. Essentially, Renegades is just saying, well, we don't want Alex on Azir, and we do not want to play Azir into Vel'Koz.
Right, we don't let him get 10th pick Azir where we're not going to blind pick Vel'Koz for a matchup. So also it's worth keeping in mind as far as side choices go as we get through the rest of the bans here with Kindred being off the table. Renegades chose blue side for this game. They had side choice for 1, 3, and 5. So they want a blue side here in the first game, hoping that they have a good first pick that will maybe surprise these guys. But then they chose red side for games 3 and game 5. After the first pick goes in, they wanted to have counterpick the rest of it. Meanwhile, TDK just wanted red side in the first place for their games in the, overall. So TDK is going to get 3 red side games, which is kind of what they wanted. Renegades kind of giving them that in a sense, I suppose. But
it's always interesting because you do want kind of the guarantee of variance. Higher seed gets to pick games 1, 3, and 5. Lower seed gets to pick 2 and 4.
Yeah.
But it's not like Renegades picks games 1 and then TDK picks game 2. It's a blind submission of games 1 through 5 and games 2 and 4. So this one, it was just a little bit interesting. It's actually the most variance we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
A lot of
pick,
thoughts about this first pick.
Echo is going to be the one. That's something we actually see a fair bit of, honestly, in the recent history. He's gotten various cooldown buffs to his Q and his E, and the tank build's really gotten very popular with Sunfire Iceborne, and he seems to be a first pick worthy top laner.
I think so. He has seen as you said, so many small buffs, whether it be a cooldown reduction on his Q a few patches ago, and then a cooldown reduction on his E, and then more move speed on his passive, and it's just, they all add on top of each other, and you just get this top lane menace when he goes full tank. It's something Flair's played in Game 3 against Team Dignitas, and I really do feel like, especially when Poppy is banned, maybe even when Poppy isn't banned, you're going to see Tank Echo as a premier top laner in North America and all over the world.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we are on 6.6 right now, so Poppy is still the same version that she was a few days ago. Live is on 6.7 when Poppy nerfs. Not the case here for these games. So, yeah, that sort of S tier of Echo versus Poppy certainly exists. I imagine, in a week or so when the league's update, it'll be a different scenario. But Rai is actually an early pick here for Flares. Flares or Alex, really, honestly. I could see Ninja playing it as well, but also the early leaves for Kez. Denying that somewhat from Crumbs, but keep in mind, Nidalee is still on the field, and she's been very popular in 6.6, so that surprised me quite a bit.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like, obviously, she's been nerfed slightly, but one other thing about these teams in the promotion tournament is they don't have the choose your own adventure champion pools. Like, some of the champion pools are going to be a little bit limited, and some people just aren't going to play exactly the champions you want them to play. Kez, always been good at the least. It has a lot of control. Especially if they want to do some C chains with Cocoon into Ryze or with Ryze into Cocoon. You can see some pretty good arguments for both those. And yeah, Kindred was banned, but Nidalee is not chosen by either Renegades nor TDK.
Honestly, a little bit surprising for me that that's actually the case here, but Nidalee left through the draft, I think, in its entirety now. Corki picked up for, we assume, Ninja. Could be a flex to freeze. Again, 6.6. Corki does not have the nerf to his passive attack damage. So still definitely a premier mid laner, and picked second round blue side is not too big of a surprise. And now it's, of course, up for TDK to pick the rest of their champions. Will they go for the Caitlyn with Janna off the table? And they got to decide what Oki's going to play here at some point as they leave the Ryze as, I assume, a flex pick and they pick the bottom lane.
Yeah, one thing about Lucian, if they pick that, is it's good into pretty much any matchup. It's a very generically strong AD carry at the moment. Yeah, that's what he's going to go with instead of a safer choice like Caitlyn. One thing is, against Echo, you're going to need a little bit more sustained DPS, and I feel like Lucian is a little bit better at dancing to keep up with him. Like, if they get ahead in fights and want to kill him. That's really a minor point, though.
Yeah, I think it depends on his item build. If he goes for the 70% crit build, third item Infinity Edge, then he's up there. If he does what Apollo did last night, which is Bloodthirster third, you just don't have the DPS to kill a Trundle or an Echo. So I think it's up to his choice. Okay, so
Poke.
Seraph, when he first joined the league, was known for being a Jace main. From way back when, Jace and Nidalee were like his go-tos. Now it's probably more likely to be Ninja playing the Jace.
Ninja play here.
But we've seen mid Echo.
And they're throwing Corki down in the bottom lane. We've seen mid Echo we've even seen AP top lane Echo. We've seen jungle Echo and top Gragas.
Sure.
Like, we've seen a lot. But yeah, I think this would just be a poke comp
Yeah.
with Jace, Corki, and more.
Yeah.
Why they decide to go poke at this juncture? Maybe they just don't see enough hard initiate on the side of TDK.
You really only have the Alistar.
You have the Alistar and then a little bit of follow-up, and they can think they can maybe get that with Black Shield. It's definitely an end-of-draft switcheroo.
Right. I think it makes sense on the spectrum, right? Like, it's not Sivir or Callista, it's Lucian. It's Ryze and not a Maokai. It's a Lisa, not a Gragas or an Echo or something. Mid laner comes out, Alex Ditch playing Karma here. So, yeah, okay, sure, you have move speed for the Alistar, but really the only dedicated engage is that Trance Alistar. And you can Black Shield someone for that. I actually think this lineup could work very well. And
Yeah.
As we get the swaps back and forth, the question is it
Sarah?
Karma top or mid or Ryze top or mid? And similarly,
Yeah.
Echo versus Jace top and mid, and I want to know where it goes. Both are possible.
This could be exciting, especially this is also some of the teams that ran double tanks in the Challenger playoffs.
Oh,
like
right.
Poppy, Nautilus. So they're no strangers to, even if it's Echo mid lane, just building a tank
Echo
anyway,
mid lane.
right? And then having Seraph, that's fine. You're actually able to do that in League of Legends because when team fights happen, it's all the same, depending on where you've put your gold distribution.
And it is Seraph playing the Jace. 20 seconds have ticked
Ooh.
down, so it is mid Echo. We'll still have to see
Awesome.
if it's Assassin Echo or not. And by the way, that changes the texture of the game quite a bit if it's actually Assassin Echo, because now you're just doing burst damage everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's no real way of telling from his runes. He's got pretty generic Echo runes. He's got health at level 18, magic resist flat, AP flat, and attack speed percentage for reds, which is pretty much what Echo top lane does, save for a few different blue runes
That makes me
sometimes.
feel more like it's a tank build if you're running attack speed reds.
Instead of cooldown reduction blues as well.
Right. Instead of magic pen marks.
I think he's tank Echo mid.
I think it's probably Tank Echo mid.
That'll
That's
be
going to be fun to watch for. Here we go, guys. Tweet at Esports, hashtag REN winner, hashtag TDK win for which team it's going to be. It is a best-of-5 winner. Rejoins the North American LCS for summer 2016. Renegades versus Team Dragon Knights. It's going to be a great one. We will have at least one new team in North America for summer with Dignitas losing last night. We're going to see who that first team is going to be right now as we get ourselves into Game 1.
Well, right now is a little bit
Right now is
early.
incorrect.
Right now, in like 3 to 5 hours, if you stick with us, you get to watch the whole story unfold, which I think is the most exciting thing.
Yeah. I'm glad we're doing these best of 5s now so I can remember that we're not doing BO1s anymore in the North American LCS.
Right now, this game.
I've done 7 splits of best of 1s, Jet.
I know. So have I.
It is, well, yeah, so have
How
you.
many single games of League of Legends have we cast where the storyline does not come from
It's
one
right
game
now.
to the
It's
other?
this game. 20 minutes. No,
Absolutely.
it's an hour and a half at minimum.
Speaking of ones, everyone's level 1.
Good one.
Also, Flares with the Ryze pick matches something that the Rocks Tigers did last night, where they picked him in first rotation both games for Smeb. Smeb played 2 Ryze games last night. Definitely on this patch, Ryze is seeing a little bit of a resurgence as we get a little bit of pregame dancing. There's a chance something happens here, so I'll finish my Ryze point later.
Bit of poke back and forth, actually binding out a trance and a lot of free money for Hakuho, who has gone Thunderlords. I do want to point out Ninja has definitely gone Grasp of the Undying on Echo. He has no magic or armor pen at all, either percentage or flat, so...
This dude is tank.
Yeah, it is almost definitely Tank Echo at this point.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, the Ryze point is he actually gained 40 damage in max rank Q for max rank. He's had a lot of changes.
yes.
Ryze is, I feel like, probably the most reworked and most changed champion we have in League of Legends, so it's
Probably.
hard to like keep up with exactly what's happening. Back when he was like super OP, one of the big problems is he'd get his passive up and then just like run at you and machine gun you and just vroom, 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 root into root into root and you're dead.
Right.
Now that caps out at a certain number of spellcasts. So he's going to be a lot more in and out, but
Oh! Wow, that
that
happens-
looks bad.
Yeah, I don't think Crumbs was actually behind the Gromp.
Yeah, it
We've
looked like he
seen-
body slammed through the Grump, but his model is very big. Anyway, he body slammed through. I wish he would pause after something like that, so that could be investigated. Either way, he burns his flash. So either he actually missed his body slam and it was a spectator desync and flash back for the mistake, or it was a bug and he didn't pause for. Either way, looks interesting.
Looks interesting. That's the best we can say for this one. Poke back and forth. Hakuho not able to easily land a binding. We're seeing Ninja do battle with Alex in the mid lane right now. The minions pretty close to equal. No, Ninja really going hard. Trying to make Alex use up health and mana. CS lead will eventually go to this Karma. I think really to no one's surprise right here. Generally speaking, it's much easier to be the ranged champion in a matchup like this. And Ninja will hopefully collect back up his resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Level 2's hit. No level 2 all-inning happening from this lane down here. That would really only happen if Akro landed a binding when Freeze himself hit level 2, so nothing much to see there. I am very interested in the Jace versus Ryze matchup top lane because we're so used to, in the last few patches, it just kind of being League of Tanks up there with the Poppy versus Trundle or Echo versus Gragas. Or
Nautilus shows up.
Nautilus being up there. Now we have two people who are going to be very vulnerable to deaths. Jace loves going offensive. Ryze has to build a lot of mana before he can start becoming tanky. If he wants to get high damage, he's going to have to start with a tier.
Right.
Against Jace, I feel like he's got to start Catalyst. Like, otherwise, he's just going to die.
Getting chunked out by occasional shock blasts, yeah. And of course, Gragas and Elise are no slouches in terms of early gank pressure as well. So Kez and Crumbs could easily make their way up there and try to get a forced kill. Crumbs right now finishing the top side of his jungle right now. That will be a Scuttle picked up. His Strength of 8 is stacking, and he's going to run over to try to spot out Kez, but that red buff is already gone. And Crumbs will just drop a trinket and walk away.
Yeah, I feel like Crumbs is being really aggressive considering he doesn't have flash, but he does have the health advantage.
Oh, he missed the Q barrel!
Yeah.
He actually might have been able to burn a flash. The extra slow would have been really huge.
I think you're right.
Mechanical misplay by Crumbs, 100%. Q too short. We're seeing the mid laners fight some more. And Crumbs
still blind.
Kez, what are you doing? First blood to Crumbs. He didn't think he was coming. He even had a trinket ward. He just never left.
Oh my God, Kez. What have we seen this game so far? Anyway, Alex Siege is going for Ninja now. He's got a Q up.
Yeah.
Yep, one more flash from Alex, and the auto would have followed Ninja through the flash, which is why Ninja had to flash away there.
Yeah.
So Alex making up a little bit for Kez doing the late recall, but that was peculiar to say the least. Kez could have easily just walked through to his turret. I think he thought he had an angle on Crumbs, and Crumbs wouldn't body slam over the wall. I'd like to see that replay with Fog of War toggle to see if Crumbs could actually see Kez, or if it was a blind body slam for the kill.
Yeah, you're right, but as it turns out, though, first blood unassisted to Renegades. You got to feel good getting a double buff refresh on Crumbs' Gragas. I would take a first blood for a flash, by the way. So at this point, you know, I wouldn't remake if I were Crumbs anymore. But I mean, you also can't. It's too late. But in retrospect, he made the right choice.
And he's getting his flashback in a minute, too, so wins on wins.
Victories all around. So interesting, though, by the way, cooldown boots rushed for Crumbs. So when he does get the flashback, it's on a 10% shorter cooldown. And you can go for a bunch of flash body slam plays and like really upset lanes.
I'm a big fan of distortion boots on Gragas as well, just because that is such reliable form of initiation. With that being said, I would much rather have the first blood go into the runic echoes so you can speed up your jungle clear and then power into your distortion items later. But Crumbs is gone, like you say, for the very early impact plays. He will be able to get his flash up and then get the reduced cooldown from it immediately if he does another gank very shortly.
And we'll see what he looks for. He's looking around the right-hand side of the map, but gets spotted out by the Wolf Spirit that Kez had smited not too long ago, so Crumbs won't get a gank off in the mid lane. And he looks to the bottom side, but he's already top of a ward there as well. The early tracker snipe by Kez spotting this gank. TDK knows he is here.
Yeah, this is way too dangerous for Crumbs. I actually feel like he's going to end up losing a lot of efficiency because Elise should harass him over the wall.
They can fight this. Headbutt pulverize. Here we go. He can jump over the wall. Flash cocoon. Plenty of damage in. Crumbs has to flash away. Thankfully for him, it was back up. So no harm, no foul from that early one. But look at that binding. OQ pops heal. Didn't need to, though. He wasn't under real threat at the time. Summoner spell down. A quick trade. Actually, OQ had flashed to chase the...
That's actually 4 summoner spells for 1. Here's the Fog of War toggle.
That's Kez's view. He just
that was Kez's view. So he saw Crumbs for sure. Looks like Crumbs could see the Elise as well.
Yeah, with Crumbs coming from the right-hand side, I'm pretty sure he can see
he's going to see, because vision is all just about straight lines, essentially. So if it's a straight line for that corner.
Seraphim flares in a battle. He gets it with the flash auto attack follow. He's going to survive. Yes, he will.
21
just barely.
21 health. That's a couple of minion auto attacks from the backside there. But either way, tier for tier. So Flares started tier instead of Catalyst, and I feel like a little bit of that, whether it be a sustained advantage or just not having quite as much health, ends up giving Seraph the ability to all-in him in a giant minion wave. Also, those Jace buffs, the extra damage on the melee Q, that's enough to take him over the top.
There you go. Also, he went Warlord's Bloodlust, I'm pretty sure. I saw the red particles from that one. So the lifesteal he got from the auto attacks he did land also kept him alive. So a whole lot of choices culminating in a very tight kill, but it means Renegades are up 2-0 as Seraph goes from tier in toward Hex Drinker. I have to assume is his next item here.
Gotta be.
And he's going to feel real good having Hex Drinker against Catalyst later on.
I feel like he's just going to rush Maw. There's so much magic damage. It's the only thing he's fighting against for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Until OQ gets to 2 or 3 items. Seraph's going to be a monster with just Maw of Mortius. Maybe he even goes Mercurial Scimitar after that and just goes double MRAD items.
Sure. Get rid of a Cocoon, get rid of a Rune Prison, make sure you're safe. I like that a lot, honestly. FLICKR's walking up from the river back into the lane. He's not doing great in the lane, though. 38 to 54 in minions. Not the best score line. And it's overall a 2,000 gold lead for Renegades from 2 kills and then farm lead for the rest of it.
Yeah, and the Spectre's Cal now on a Ninja, especially with Grasp of the Undying. It's going to be interesting to see how much he can actually proc the Grasp onto Alex in order to sustain, because in a tank matchup, it would mean sustain for sure. But now we're going to get to see whether or not tank mid lane Echo can survive against an actual traditional mage. Traditional-ish mage.
Yeah,
in the
support mage.
Typically, Karma's actually really good into tanks. So it's...
We used to see her a little bit top lane a couple seasons ago as like an anti-melee matchup. It was just something you could farm off against and scale up to. So I'd be curious to see what he goes for. If we see like a Leandry sort of poke-based build or what. But Crumbs slinking into the top side does have Raptor buff on, so he knows he's not been spotted by a ward. There is no chance that Crumbs was seen on this way in.
So this is going to be a bit of a classic 2v2. The question will be whether Renegades engages too hard on a Flares, because they will not see Kez until now.
Okay, up onto Flares. Q misses again from Crumbs. Explosive casts out because of TP in from the mid lane.
No,
Here
Kez
comes
has
Ninja.
no flash, so this should be mostly free.
It should be Kez dangerously low. Ninja does get the kill after all. That Trinket War for the TP was definitely pretty smart. And Flares having to run away. What a great setup for the entire play.
Yeah. Honestly, it really was. Crumbs being there early, baiting the gank in.
Some damage.
And then Ninja with the immediate teleport that Alex wasn't in any position to match. And it looked a little sloppy at the start when Crumbs just kind of walked out of the brush for the auto attack. But then when he used his ultimate, splitting Ryze in one direction and Elise back towards the turret when they know Kez's flash is down from the prior kill attempt on a Crumbs in the bottom lane, it's just absolutely guaranteed after that happened.
Yeah.
He's not going to run back to the turret because they chase him down.
The culling used to clear the minion waves away in the bot side. OQ not having the best time in this lane. And by the way, I just want to point out how incredibly well Freeze and Hakuho are doing. Plus 17 minions in this bot lane. And okay, yes, it's been upset by a couple of ganks. There is, you know, some fighting going on. OQ burns summoners and they try to kill off Crumb. So there are some elements that tilted the matchup a bit. But in a mostly 2-on-2, big lead for
Absolutely.
Freeze.
Throughout most of the regular season, despite the poor results for Renegades, Freeze was one of the best laning AD carries and 2v2 duos with his revolving door of supports. So now that he's actually been with Hakuo for a number of games, they're just getting better and better as far as the 2v2 bottom lane. And this is kind of Renegades starting where they left off, starting this promotion tournament where they left off the regular season. Strong early game. A couple of risky outplays.
Sure.
Crumbs body slamming over a wall with no flash. Seraph melee queuing into a minion wave, but it led to a few good kills, and then they took that advantage straight back, got another one, and they just keep pushing.
And it's going pretty well so far. You got to feel good about most of the Renegade solo laners having some kills under their belts. In fact, both of them having kills under their belts. So word choiceage there. But yeah, it's Team Dragon Knights just doing what they can to stay afloat. But look at this. It's Kez having to hold on to the bot lane where their AD carry had to take a bad recall and then lose a double wave under the turret that Kez had to absorb. The turret's already almost dead, by the way. And everything's going really poorly for TDK in this early game.
It is. Boots swiftness for OQ. Oh, Flares is going for the ward, but now he's in a lot of trouble.
Whole lot of barrels into an empowered shock class, and now Flares is running as fast as he can.
Another body slam, and they'll get him if he goes for the flash. Yep.
Nice body slam and a flash. Here comes the auto attacks. The shield's on, and it's gonna go and be gifted to Seraph. Nice play by Crumb. Now the flash ulti, forcing a flash out of Alex Sich. Nice play by Hakuho to trace some summoners, but now mid's under pressure.
Yeah, flash straight over the wall. Pretty much no option for Alex other than to flash away immediately.
Right.
With
Stealth
the
flash
ward,
shield, so he couldn't get disengaged either.
With the ward, I feel like Hakuo could have bound first, then flash ulted, and then there's a chance they guarantee the kill.
Right.
But either way, they force a flash, and now Freeze!
Wow, thanks to his lucky stars, he had package up. Just gets so far away, plus the knockback. Valkyrie for good measure and stays alive, but hey, he lost some health, he lost a summoner heal. Now Alex is back in the mid lane looking for a fight against Ninja, who is getting whittled down somewhat. The Spectre's Cowl offering some defenses. Puts the shield up if Alex wants to stay. Alex does not really, can't really damage through that shield anymore, but he still stays in the mix. But it's looking like Ninja's getting the better of this now. They're getting lower and lower over time, and look at that! Ninja just gets the straight solo coup. Alex did not respect the damage output.
Yeah, I think Ninja had Corruption Potion running the whole time for that really long engagement would help. I think Alex thought he was set because he monstered his W, which is a massive heal in a 1v1, but The 3-hit passive kept coming back for Ninja. That's Tank Echo for you. Just a whole bunch of damage. He got multiple Grasp of the Undying procs throughout that entire trade.
Sure, yeah.
And really just an underestimation of Alex. That's what you get when you're playing against a Tank Echo in the mid lane, something you almost never do. And Ninja's right back at it again. He goes back for a Spirit Visage, uses his Echo ultimate to get back to lane because he didn't even need that for his duel with Alex, and pushes lane up even further.
Winning the 1v1 without even burning your ultimate definitely gotta feel good when you're Ninja right here, who's, you know, just pretty huge. You can see the Keystone choices here. Interesting to actually see Warlord's Bloodlust on Corki. I don't see that very commonly at all, but...
Yeah, a lot of these.
Oh my god, Freeze, why are you running % armor pen? You're playing Corki. You made the same mistake Alex Itch did when he played Corki in one of the LCS games or something.
Yeah.
It's not
good. You do 70% magic damage.
Yeah.
Either way, it'll happen. How do you know? Did you check?
Yeah, you can just press C and look at his percent health.
I was just making sure you did that because just based off Warlords, you could have gone for the magic pen, but no, 7% armor penetration.
Yep.
And hello.
Yeah, we missed a Corki kill, by the way. I'm sorry about that one here. Corki did go down to OQ in the bot lane, but meanwhile, a mid lane gank comes in, and it's now 6-1 for Renegades. Just absolutely dumpstering this game right now. You're seeing the gold lead balloon faster and faster. Finally, bot lane outer did go down thanks to that gank from Kez, but the rest of the lanes are just in miserable shape.
Yeah, the death to Freeze is the only way TDK is going to hope to come back from this one because they'd want to push Echo off this and take a 2-turret trade, which is going to bring their gold a little bit closer. Yet they don't quite have enough time to do it in safety. And they don't have vision over Chrome's would be in Seraph still has teleport, so it actually ends up being 2 turrets for 1, and that's actually just going to extend Renegade's lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be the Corki kill that we were talking about. Corki not taking magic penetration during.
Nice cocoon by Kez and a flash head but pulverize. I just never knew Kez was there and just didn't respect it.
I thought at the very start of that clip, they bound Kez. I'm checking this.
The bound was on OQ, who then left the brush, I think.
Okay. I think you're right. But
and then they were like, oh, okay, this Lucian's low. Let's go wreck this guy.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It was a bind into the wall for OQ, so it was actually a pretty good bait in that sense.
All right, well, glimmers of hope for Team Dragonites, but they are still down 5,500 gold already at 15 minutes. Dragon number 1 claimed easily by Renegades. Looks like they're just doing so well in this game.
Yeah, and this 5,000 gold is going to go an even longer way. It's not a Runic Echoes Crumbs, it's a Cinderhulk progress this game, so he's going to be super tanky, and I imagine he's going to go Spirit Visage with his next item.
Right.
We see a Maw already onto Seraph.
Uh-oh.
We see multiple pairs of Mercury Treads. They will be taking this turret, but they're going to be open to a lot of counter pushing here.
And look at that, the immediate summoner teleport by Seraph to make turret pressure happen. It's going to be mapped up by FLICKR, so a 2-on-2. Both solo laners of both teams up here, and FLICKR can clear that away pretty cleanly. Top lane outer did, in fact, go down. Meanwhile, the Corki, played by Freeze, is solo pushing down here, and no one is stopping him. This turret's just dying to straight auto attacks.
But they can. They traded an inner turret for an outer turret. Generally not worth it because they give Renegades even more map pressure here. Renegades is just out-pressuring the map right now.
Yeah.
OQ's still up in the top lane. Alex is probably going to get pushed off this one, and they may even lose 2 turrets for 1. 2 inners for 1 outer.
Oh my god, it's just constant. There's
all,
people pushing lanes all the time, refusing to be stopped. This wave will get thinned out, but yeah, there we go. Ninja comes in, pulls back out, but now gets Flash Rune Prisoned. A bit aggressive, but they can't keep the fight going. It's not tenable. There's too much damage coming out from Renegades. TDK backs out.
The disrespect phase dive turret kill into 4 people, burning his Echo ultimate just to get out of there, and absolutely worth.
He baited
100% worth. He got Flash away from Flares. Oh my god. And that's because the itemization at this point in the game is just so efficient.
Oh god.
Spectre's Cowl, Mercury Treads on 2 people.
Full Spirit Visage already from the Echo, like.
And the way that gets punished is if OQ gets huge.
Sure.
But OQ's not going to get huge until at least 3 items.
Right.
He's going to need. I mean, he's knowing
he needs
OQ, he's probably
4,000
going to
more
go
gold.
Rapid Fire Cannon next, and then Infinity Edge.
Right.
Just because he loves the boost speed and the extra range.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's so far away.
Oh yeah.
And in the meantime, TDK is going to be down 6 turrets.
At least Rise is scaling. Rod of Age is finished within the last minute. The tier's still stacking up as well, so at some point Flares becomes a huge threat. But that like, that game might not even last 10 minutes for the Rite of Ages to stack right now. The final tier 2 turret going down right now for Renegades. That's going to be a 6-2 scoreline in terms of turrets. That scoreline's almost as bad as the kills being 6-1 in the first place, so a crushing early game.
Yeah, not to mention they were able to pick up the Rift Herald, Seraph.
Rune Prison into no one even tries.
Yeah. Should be able to pick up his Manamune very shortly. Iceborne is completed onto Ninja, which means he is full speed ahead as far as Tank Echo goes.
Yep.
Yeah, really liking this game from Renegades. They are looking very strong.
And very clean as well. It's interesting because the style of play has been a little bit different in that it's just been Crumb sort of coming up to a lane like, hey, you're winning this lane? Let's win it by a little bit more. Let's go ahead and just get you that kill or that recall so you can get the turret damage. Then Crumbs goes back and farms. Kez like gets a gank, goes, oh, we got a gank. I'm going to stay for the turret. We're going to stay for 2 more waves. We're going to press his advantage as much as we can. Meanwhile, the rest of his team is still losing their lanes and their turrets.
Right.
And it's just so hard for TDK to salvage the rest of the map. Kez can only be in one place at a time.
Yeah, TDK's actually lost every individual matchup.
Yeah.
Even in the jungle, right? Crumbs 1v1 Kez at level 3 killed him. Seraph 1v1 top lane at level 4 killed him.
Ninja did it at 7.
And then Freeze was up 30 to 40 CS along with Hakuo versus OQ and Trans.
Right.
So while it's one thing to talk about the tactics, but honestly Renegades was ahead in every role, and they're doing what they need to do to push these advantages. I think one of the main things that enabled this to happen is just their willingness to challenge convention in Champion Select. Throw Tank Echo mid lane, throw your carry top lane. They're both going to get gold because they're not going to lane swap. They're just both going to be solo lanes.
Sure.
And then they're going to reach this, and it's just like having Jace mid and Echo top, but they got more favorable matchups because of it.
They absolutely did. It felt pretty good for all these guys all around, winning their lanes, winning everything now at this point. Renegades hoping to win the game afterwards. As we soon crest the 20-minute mark, all that's left for them to do is crack into the base, maybe take a Baron to do so. They do have some pick potential. They've got Flash up on Crumbs. He's got the cooldown boots. He's going to feel happy about that one and finding his way into some fights. And we'll see if they play the poke siege game for much longer. Of course, Jason Corky can do that, but sitting around sieging, I wonder if that's actually what they want to do.
Yeah, I think for the most part, they know they have a massive lead. They already have one dragon. Baron is just spawning. For one game, Crumbs didn't go Sightstone Jungler. He's just gone for Tracker's Knife, which is good for their early power spike. I think for the most part, Renegades will just set up wards around Baron area and bait out a fight. They have very good pick potential because of the Morgana and the Gragas. And because of the gold lead, they can be very aggressive with their initiations. So, yeah, I mean, you talked about that Rite of Ages not being hit 10 minutes. I would be surprised if this game goes past 30.
Ooh, absolutely agree. But right now, Alexich will get away from this one. Sadly for Crumbs, he buffered a Q barrel and the ulti cast, which gave enough time for Alex to flash as the body slam stun wore off. Crumbs right in front of 3 people, and TDK don't even want to go in for that.
Like, well, he does have 3,000 health.
Right.
And we really don't have enough damage to kill him, so let's wait for someone squishier.
And how saddening is that?
They're hoping that it's going to be Freeze next.
Well, Hako's coming around as well. Again, 4 still in this brush. The wards actually have not spotted these guys.
Now
they do. Now they do, and there's nothing to be
done.
Mantra Shield Defiance comes out, and yeah, it lets Kez kill a couple of wards. And otherwise just be sad about the fact that his team is doing not very well in this game. They're unwilling to 4v1 a jungler. How do you expect to win a Baron standoff?
You hope that you can 4v1 an AD carry.
Yeah.
And go from there.
You hope Freeze really screws up.
Yeah, but Freeze just went back to farming.
No, there's not a lot available. Right now we're seeing Seraph soloing the dragon in the bot side of the map right here. You can see him in that pit. There's no threat on him at all. The ward control continues to be spent on the top side of the map. Hakuho barely took damage from Kez. Black Shield blocked the Q. A Dragon Number 2 picked up. That'll help Renegades siege turrets down a little bit better if they want to play that game. And Team Dragon Knights just hope something falls their way, as this game has been slipping farther and farther from them. 9,000, the gold deficit has remained for about 2 minutes or so, as Renegades haven't found any turrets to kill. And I'm just actually curious what they go for.
Renegades is staggering their recalls, I think, a little bit too much right now, which is delaying their ability to pressure.
Right.
Crumbs has kind of been in the jungle. They've had 2 or 3 people there, but Corky was gone. And then just now, Seraph was back in base. Finally, they're done with the staggering, and they have Tank over in the bottom lane, 4 people controlling vision in the jungle, And this is where they should be moving strongly with Crumbs in the front to get vision control in the jungle and make the next step. I think it should have happened about a minute or two ago, but they're in no way punished for it.
Yep.
And they should be doing it shortly.
Yeah, the only attempt at a punish was TDK with that 4-man death push where they didn't pull the trigger after all, and Crumbs got to walk away cleanly. That was the opening. Didn't happen. TDK, once again, clearing wards out of the jungle as best they can. And once again, another recall coming out from multiple members. The Morgana and the Corki have both gone back to base. Package respawns. That's going to get picked up, I assume, here. And that'll maybe be the play. Yep, Freeze picks that up. He's going to walk across the map now. And okay, maybe this is the impetus for Renegades to push in for something.
Everyone recalls again. They get more items.
They can actually rush Baron off this.
Sunfire Cape completed for Ninja. So he's pretty heavy armor, so even if Oku gets a little bit bigger, it's going to be a hard time for him to kill Ninja. Whereas I don't think that the Elise and the Karma are strong enough to even cut through the Mercury Treads and the Visage. Plus that Sunfire Cape damage, though.
Oh, yeah. Slowly burning Rise down, sadly. For Ninja, that scroll's indestructible. He's not getting rid of the Parchment there, and he's just still farming up on... Is that Tribal Rise? I think it is.
That matchup's not going very far.
No. Not a lot of damage done to the Spirit with the Jacko there. Ninja Tabby completed now for Flares, going towards an Abyssal Scepter, so he's still getting what damage he can, but had to take a pit stop for... I think I already said an Ninja Tabby, so...
Yeah, it's because he was laning against Jace, which is why they've switched the Echo in, who's doing mainly magic damage in.
Yep. Well, speaking of dealing magic damage...
Come on, man!
Goodbye, Flares. Cocoon to the turret! He gets ult off in time, but he's very, very injured. Flashes out of the Pulverize! He's still running, shield comes up! It's gonna be close! He gets the shield, he gets the stun! He's gotta run! He's gotta run! The culling comes out, the flash! The auto attack gets it! Finally the kill comes through, but by the way, Baron was killed by Renegades.
Remember when we said that the top lane Echo is probably the top lane pick on this patch? Maybe it's the mid lane pick too. Obviously it helps when your team is 10,000 gold ahead.
Yes.
But that was absolutely absurd. He spent about 6 to 10 seconds tanking the 85% armor penetration inhibitor turret. And then
still gets away.
He gets stunned in it. Ult's back. By the way, you don't get any bonuses for your Echo ultimate, so he doesn't heal as much from his ultimate as an AP Echo would.
Right.
Still fine. Takes half the health out of OQ, burns both his summoners.
Yeah.
That was absurd.
Ninja's a little bit ahead, chat. I think he's a little bit ahead this game.
Just a little bit.
Just doing reasonably. Freeze and Hakuho are collecting a free win, by the way. Their combined KDA is 0. The jungle and solo lanes have been doing so much work for Renegades, and I mean, the 2 new pickups for the roster are really doing a lot of heavy lifting. Not to say Freeze is a winning lane. I mean, he's obviously useful. He's killed the turrets.
Freeze has been useful all year.
Yeah.
Right? Now he's getting a lot of the support from these other guys. So, 3,500 gold lead for Ninja. Keep that in mind when he did those things. A lot of champions can do ridiculous-looking things with 3,500 gold leads. That looked like a little bit much. Oh, Hakuho!
Heavy engage. They do pick up 1 kill finally. TDK in a 5v4, zoning out another member of the team. Has to run down to the bottom side of the map. We still have Freeze walking around with Crumbs, looking to siege his turret down below a 3rd HP.
Ninja's still killing the top lane turret too.
All right, wow. So they're actually sieging 3v5 here, and TDK unable to re-engage. No one went back to heal up, so they just can't go back in.
Yeah, they've already used the flash from Alistar for the initiation, and they know no one can actually deal with Ninja. Well, someone can, if there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
but one person can.
Half the team can deal with Ninja, but the other half of the team's pushing down the mid lane as well. So TDK on the verge of losing 2 inhibitors. The flash! Oh, what the?
That's not going to work.
Has missed Cocoon. That's a huge problem. It's going to mean the kill into Alistar as he runs through the base gate. Ninja gets that kill. Othi back in to stay alive. A nice body slam flash comes in from Crumbs. Picks up another kill for the team. That's 2 in this engagement right now. Kez running away out of health, out of mana. Similar situation. Walks into body slam range. And that means another kill comes through as Flares kicks the bucket.
Yeah, and they're now teleporting Seraph back in. There's still pretty long death timers. I think they could go for the end, actually, even though they were thinking about taking the 3 inhibitors. This could be a 27-minute win. Looking
at it right now. Next turret number 1 goes down. Next turret number 2 going to follow. Sadly, the Rite of Ages did hit 10 stacks for Renegades, but it still means the victory. Game 1, really without much doubt at all to Renegades.
Yeah, very little doubt. Aside from the doubt of, like, is Ninja just never going to die? I mean, there was some doubt there. He did eventually. But, yeah, 10 kills to 3, 27 minutes, 15,000 gold by the end of it. The switcheroo between the Echo and the Jace, very clever. Still a little bit interesting that Nidalee made it all the way through the picks and bans. Maybe that changes. Next game, as Kez's Elise was fairly underwhelming. But for the most part, Renegades started the promotion tournament the way they ended the regular season, with a very solid win.
Impressive stuff. Ninja actually ended up doing the most damage to champions in that game. Some of that being that he was constantly fighting. 12.9 thousand gold was his total tally there in the 27-ish minute game right there. It was just a slow burn of every lane winning. Wherever Crumbs went, someone died because, either misplays by TDK or just how strongly his laners were doing. Then just turrets kept falling within the individual lanes. There weren't even rotations required. These turrets just died to the lanes that were already there. Yeah,
that's what a lot of it is what happened, because TDK would make a move to be like, we're going to stack 4 people up in this lane, but they had never done the prerequisite work that actually gave them time in the other lanes to make the 4-man rotation. And then Renegades just kept saying, no, we're just going to continue closing in around the base. Tank Echo was ridiculous. We kind of knew this coming in. We've been seeing a lot of it happen in other regions, very high prioritization.
Yeah.
We've seen the small creeping buffs, recognize how strong it is with Iceborne Gauntlet and Grasp of the Undying, and relatively decent base damages, is adding all together the fact that Sunfire Cape is a better item, Iceborne Gauntlet's a really good item. It's rather absurd. I'm really thinking, what can you do against it? Pretty much you need another tank to go up against him in the top lane to at least trade some damage, and a Trundle somewhere in the team, whether it's in the top lane or as a support, so you can shred his resistances and at least have a chance against him.
And it seems like as far as that sort of choice is concerned in Korea, it's all about Trundle support specifically. Is that it seems like no one's really... A lot of teams are jumping off the Trundle top train, and that once you pick up QSS, he loses one of his big important skills, whereas that's okay in a support role, where you're getting the first set of stats, and that's enough for you. I agree. I do want to see Trundle somewhere in the draft at some point. I think he makes a lot of sense with these matchups. I also know, as the game balance shifts up and down, maybe Grasp goes down, maybe Echo goes back down afterwards. But yeah, he's definitely very strong right now. First pick worthy. We'd known that TDK was happy to play it in yesterday's series against Dignitas, so lo and behold, first pick, get it away, get it out of FLICKR's hands. Put it in Ninjas, he's going to do fine with it.
Yeah, and we see the side choices because of the way the selections worked out. Renegades gets blue side again.
Yeah.
So they can get Echo again unless it's banned away, which I think is going to happen. And TDK is going to then be limited in the banning phase. I also don't think they're going to pick Rise that early again, only because I don't think they expected the Jace to go so well.
Right.
So we'll definitely see some tweaks in the next game. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, those are interesting. I want to talk about the champ select dynamics a little bit, because you mentioned sort of an Echo ban being gummed up. I mean, same thing for blue side. Renegades sort of had to bring in an Azir ban so that Alex couldn't
both sides of the Velcro
10th
matchup.
pick Azir to prevent a counterpick from coming out there. So we had some sort of a trade there. Renegades do want red side for games 3 and 5, so there's some 10th pick popularity there. We'll see if that ends up mattering. Either way, though, it was a commanding win for Renegades, winning all of their lanes. Crumbs could do no wrong by showing up to a lane and killing someone who's already low. So props to all of them, but a great game for there. And coming up next, we're going to see if TDK can tie up that series or if Renegades will make it a 2-game lead. So stick around. We'll be right back.
This is the day of happiness for these teams. No one is officially eliminated yet. Only 2 teams qualifying for the LCS. It's still blind.
Kez, what are you doing? First blood to Crumbs. Seraphim flares in a battle. He gets it with the flash auto attack follow. Ninja's getting the better of this now. They're getting lower and lower over time, and look at that. Well, speaking of dealing magic damage.
Come on, man.
Goodbye, flares.